We are live.
Morning, everybody. How you all doing? It is Saturday, July 25th. My mama turns 88 on Sunday. So I made my way up to Baltimore to spend some time with her now. She has dementia and Alzheimer's. So this is more about me than her because she ain't going to remember I was here. However, it's important to me to be here with her. So that's why I'm here. This week we'll recap the NAACP National Convention that happened last week in Chicago. We'll talk about the second autopsy and independent autopsy on Brother Nolan Wells. We'll talk about the increase in tensions between the United States and Iran. Last night we had a brief pause in action between the two. I'm sorry, we've had a pause. I shouldn't say brief pause. God willing to continue, but we'll see about that. These ICE shootings are just way out of hand, man. One of the things that I thought about this morning was, will they have enough time? Say the Democrats actually win this cycle, and I mean it's a trolloping, it's a whopping ass whipping. Will they have enough time to fix enough things before they potentially lose their position again? Will they have enough time to address all the things that have been broken by the current administration?
Mm.
There's a lot of brokenness going on right now. I don't even think we have a measure to the degree of how much shit is broken. And I'm being honest with that. I'm not just saying that out the side of my neck or anything like that. I'm being honest with that. Like it's so much normal shit that's broken right now. It's ridiculous. It's so many things that we don't even consider to be a thought, but they're broken right now. Again, it started with the firing or dismissal of inspector generals of oversight personnel. No clue, I don't think most of us have, as to the impact that these folks have on our everyday lives.
Mm.
Yet we're starting to see it. We're starting to see it because other things are going off the rails. And those other things are only allowed to go off the rails because there's no oversight. We know Congress has already capitulated to this cat. They've given in. Do what you do. We ain't gonna say no. Shh. It's between us. But those independent overseers, for real, are there for that reason. Just in case somebody isn't doing their job, it's their job to catch it. It's their job to bring it up, bring it out, potentially refer folks for charges, potentially fire folks. It depends on to the severity of what's going on. But again, the question really hit me this morning. Will they have enough time to change the boat around, to maneuver us back on course, whatever that course is? Because don't get me started with the greatness of America, that whole myth. I'm not saying it's a horrible country, but by no means are we the greatest country on in the world. Let's be clear about that. We're not the freest country in the damn world. Let's be clear about that. When you still look at us now, just look what's going on. How are we the freest country in the world and we got all this crap going on? Right? And I'm not just talking about black folks. Look at everybody else and what's going on. Look at how this current administration is going after the press. Look at how the current administration is going after or putting roadblocks in front of anything and everybody other than themselves. Because the Trumps are making a whole lot of money. Whole lot of money.
Hmm.
How is that working? How does that work? Again, I think again we don't have a concept of these things because we've never had to think about it. Our democracy is so fragile because it was really built and maintained by just norms. Just norms. We don't do that as a custom, but it wasn't, we don't do that as a law. And notice when the fear of law happened, the Supreme Court comes and gives him cover. So now he doesn't have to fear the law. See how these things work? I said last week when Rashi and I were going back and forth. Very good conversation. We weren't arguing. I'm just saying when we were having our discussion, notice how we are putting even a stronger attack against the international court. We are pressing them even hard right now. Wow. Is that the most important thing for Americans to be doing? We want to press against the ICC? Why? What the hell does that have to do with us right now? Oh, I'm sorry. Look at what the administration is doing. Look at how Jared Kushner's just flying around the world and making deals and doing this and doing that. What Rubio got his hands in? That boy ain't clean. What does he got his hands in? Pete Hegseth. What has he done? Well, we know what he's done. Authorizing these damn airstrikes on speedboats that we have no evidence that are doing anything other than being a speedboat. They could have drugs on those speedboats. It could be children out playing, joyriding. It could be adults out being drunk, joyriding. We have no idea why, because there ain't been a lot of people surviving those airstrikes. Ain't been a lot of people surviving those airstrikes at all. So this is why I say, and I ask the question: will the Democrats have enough time to get us back on track? We're here. We're hurt at the pump again. Again, escalation between the United States and Iran has done that. It will hurt us at the grocery store again. Uh, there was an independent autopsy of brother Nolan Wells. Inconclusive, a lot of the findings, but there were some questions raised during the second autopsy. I said before, I believe these ICE killings are out of control, but who's checking them? First, they announced that they would, their directive that they would no longer um, shoot at moving vehicles. That pivoted after a social media post by the president. Then there was a directive coming out that the FBI would investigate their shootings. Then that got crossed out and scratched because they just changed their minds. I have no fucking idea what's going on right now. I don't even know if they know what's going on. But all of this, again, goes back to the central thought that I had this morning. Will they have enough time to right the ship? Who is going to right the ship? And once they write it, will they place additional barriers, additional laws, so that we never come to this point again? God willing, and the creek don't rise. Rodney, question I have for you. I saw this story just yesterday. There was a female commander took over at Nellis Air Force Base. How long do you think she gonna last?
As soon as they find out she's there.
Same thing I said. Same thing I said. When I saw the changes command ceremony, I was like, "Oh shit, she'll be fired by Monday. She'll be fired by Monday." I don't know what it is with these guys. Yes, I do. It's sexism. It's sexism. Absolutely. And anyone in power that is not a male, they want to get rid of. that struck me funny though. I was like, why they even put this? When I saw it, I was like, why did they put this woman through this? Why did they put? She's the first female commander of Nellis Air Force Base. I don't give a dang if she was pink, green, or yellow. She ain't. She ain't black. She's white. She gotta go. She is public enemy number one in Pete Hegseth's book right about now. I don't even know how the hell they slid that by him, to be honest with you. But I don't see her lasting long at all. Sad, but true. I do not see her lasting long at all. It may be a little longer than Monday. Maybe. I just don't. I'm not getting the vibe from them that anything is acceptable outside of maleness, first and foremost. And then you go to the colorism and genderism. I'm sorry, the sexual orientation, and you can potentially flip flop those back and forth with these cats because that's how they've been moving. That's how they've been moving. Everything they've done thus far has been predicated on one of those tenets, and I don't see it changing all of a sudden right now for her. I see it, if anything, it amplifying because it's her. You know what I'm saying? So that's
So,
where I'm at with it.
I mean,
Welcome to the show, Rodney, Rashi, Thomas Berry. Thank you all for being here this morning. As you all know, I was on the ground for the NAACP convention a couple of days last week. I was there Friday, Saturday, and a portion of Sunday. Not a whole lot on Sunday. I flew back out on Sunday. The convention was another solid move by the NAACP. The convention, in my opinion, highlighted the fact that more folks need to participate in and with the NAACP. I remember Thomas Berry's words when he said something to the effect of, "It's funny how we are the first that you call, but you ain't a member." You know what I'm saying? Um, I felt that. I felt that in more ways than one. I felt that so much that I talked to one of the communications directors, and I told her that I would be emailing her soon to discuss a potential partnership and see what may come out of that. I think it'd be a great move for them and a good move for us. There may be some changes we need to address, some verbiage more so than anything. But I can live with that in order to push the cause forward. I think they have great ideas. I think they have great wisdom. I fear they don't have the youthful talent to push all of those things forward. And what I'm seeing consistently is a huge gap in the middle. You have the elders that have the experience, have the wisdom. You have the youth trying to get to that point. You don't have those middle folks really anchoring the ship. I met two presidents of the NAACP, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. I will not be more specific than that. Both of them were elders. Now, they weren't in the grave, but both of them were elders. Where I'm not seeing that late 30 something, early 40 something person as a president in the NAACP chapter, like we saw, I think, Rodney, when we were in Vegas, the sister from Cleveland. I believe the sister from Cleveland, she was the first one that I've met that was the president of the NAACP chapter that was in her 30s, 40s. Go ahead, Rodney.
I believe there was another one from, I want to say, Phoenix as well.
I don't remember. I don't remember that one.
She
But
was
again, though they were rare in comparison to the vast majority of chapters that we saw, where the president were in their late 50s, early 60s, 70s even. more like 60s and 70s, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not seeing those young folks in those positions. And I think we need that. I think we need that because it will tell other young folks, hey, man, come on in. We got space for you. Hey, man, come on in. We want you. Hey, man, come on in. We need you. We value your opinions. We value your take on what's going on currently. But we have these elders over here that can help us understand that dynamic from what they've gone through and are willing to listen to what we're going through so we can put a plan together and move forward. You know what I mean? It was a good convention. Uh, Malcolm Lee was there. Got an opportunity to talk to him. That's the brother that did the Best Man series. I got an opportunity to talk to him. That was mad cool. They had some folks there talking about home ownership, which is always a great treat. I got to hook up with them. Hopefully, we'll be able to get one of their representatives on the show sooner rather than later. It's still important to own land. It's still important to own something. God ain't making much more of what's here. The earth is the earth. Only way we're gonna get more land is when these damn oceans start recessing and you see the flows that's been covered up by water. But ain't no more land coming. So it's still very important to be on point with that. What else? What else happened? I'm trying to think. Man, super, super, super encouraged by what they are doing with the youth. I promise you. Some of these young kids, man, their minds are amazing. Amazing. From the engineering part to uh, the uh, the arts. There's a picture I took of this artist. Oh, so good, so nice with that thing. So I'm envious because I can't draw to save my damn life. But seriously, the portraits were on point, man. But again, the engineering piece, the marketing piece, just looking at the work of these children is so inspiring because they are wide open, they are tech savvy, they are ready to be heard, and they are willing to express themselves openly. That's a beautiful combination as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I definitely want to speak on that. You know what I mean? Outside of that, let's get to it.
Can I
Yes,
speak?
sir.
Because I am a vice president of a chapter, and I feel like my voice should be heard. I'm glad you got a chance to see all those beautiful things. Our chapter ain't getting that. Not our state chapter, not our city chapter, not a lot of the other chapters. I'm glad all the people who are not a part of the NAACP had a great time. I'm glad the celebrities came out. I'm glad of all of that. But I know that the president took a $6 million check up out of here after the death of Renee Good and Alex Petty. And I also know that our chapter didn't get a quarter from that. I also know that our chapter president, when he showed up, was disrespected. I also know that our former president, who has not been a member of the Minneapolis NAACP, nor lived in Minneapolis in the past 5 years, was also on a panel talking about things in Minneapolis at that convention. Our chapter abstained from going. So I wish people, we got to measure twice and cut once, because there were some promises made that never came to fruition. If you're talking about what's going on in the state, you should talk to the people that's on the ground. If it's something that's happening in the city, you should talk to the people in the city. And we're not the only chapter that feels that way. So I hear what you're saying, and I don't think it's about elders. I don't think about anything. I'm glad that the kids from the East Coast got a chance to show off the best of their abilities. But let me tell you, from somebody from the Midwest, we often get talked about because our kids don't go to HBCUs. HBCUs don't recruit our children much either. Same way with our kids got tech skills as well. I can guarantee you for that $6 million check that he got, you didn't get a kid from Minnesota from any of our STEM programs over there in Chicago. And Chicago is just a skipping, it's a 6-hour drive. Communication. I reached out to the president. I reached out to his right-hand man that was here with him when he came in town, got his phone number. Text and phone call, haven't gotten a response. Now, people might say, well, why are you saying this publicly? Because I feel like what has happened with the legacy organizations is similar to the HBCUs. People are living off what happened in the past, and the current is not making it better for people abroad. St. Paul is the second oldest chapter in the NAACP history. That did not start inside of Washington, D.C., nor Baltimore. We deserve more respect. If we're the second oldest, that means when we call, phones should be picked up. And if that's not happening, that's a sign of leadership. It's great to have Angela Rye there. It's great to have Carrie Champion, Jamel Hill there, etc. But what about the people that's on the ground volunteering, that's doing the work? Derek Johnson does not do the work. He shows that he flies in and he flies out. He does not have to do the work. So I feel like that's important to state, because I do want the NAACP to be strong. I want the Urban League to be strong. I want the Nation of Islam. I want them to be strong. Hell, I'll even take the Black Panther Party. I want them to be strong. But I want them to treat the people right in the chapters that are forming, that wear these labels. And that's not often happening. People are just living off legacy, and the spectacles look good. But I can guarantee you our chapter have never got a ticket invite for the NAACP Image Awards. You have to call them to get that. Even though they'll take your money every year, even though you got to pay into it. It's almost like McDonald's, you're franchising. So I just wanted to state that, because we have issues here now where if we would have had some of that revenue that walked up out of here in February, we would have families that's sitting over at Heritage Park right now in black mold, rats, termites, etc. And that's what I was dealing with on Saturday while everybody was at the conference. So that's applied to two different tales. And I think that it's very important to understand that, you can't ask for community across the country to come together if it's always the big guy coming in, grabbing the bag and leaving the little guy with nothing. So I wish I was there with you. Our chapter would have loved to go. But the truth of the matter is, A, we had work here to do. And B, you just can't do what you do. Our president, Cynthia Wilson, does a lot of good work in our community. She's revived our chapter. For you to, this is like anybody else. You can't go to your lady and you keep on bringing up your ex-girl, and you bringing your ex-girl on a world tour. Cynthia is the president of the Minneapolis NAACP, not Leslie Redmond. And I'm just trying to figure out, in what world is that okay? As Black folks, if we call the former president of the NAACP national chapter and talk to that person more than Derek Johnson, how would that be perceived? That would be perceived as we're disrespecting Derek Johnson.
Yep, disrespect.
So I just wanted to say that as we are talking about it, because as being a VP, reached out, sent emails, made phone calls, made texts, haven't gotten a response. And so I hope that we can connect with them. I hope that they are receptive of having this platform, being a part of it. But I also hope that they're doing a better job of taking care of the chapters that are actually doing the work, instead of hopping on calls asking for no mess and no drama. Meanwhile, the people that's getting paid, like the president and the people that's up under him, they're the ones that's putting the drama on the people that's up under. Because I'll say it again, $6 million is a lot of bread. And to walk out of here with that type of check and this chapter to get nothing, You know, you might call it, civil rights. I call it a pimp and hoe type of relationship. That's what I call it.
Cool.
Pimp ain't suffered for no pain, ain't had to be on no block or nothing, but he showed up to get his cash. And if you don't get the cash, he'll throw you in the trunk. That's
Is
a
that with or without the clear pumps?
hmm, man. You know what? The pimp don't even care to look at your pumps at that point. You either got that money or you going in that trunk, and that's just what that is. And I will say that for all of the chapters, and this is why you have to be able. Listen, if you want the NAACP to make a resurgence, you have to be able to do more than the dog and pony shows. That's it. That goes for the Urban League. That goes for the NOI, etc. You can't have Savior's Day and then you're having these people showing up to wherever you're hosting it at, but you got the study groups or the mob suffering. You can't do the Urban League and you're going in the cities and they don't have no economic prowess, but the National is doing all of these beautiful things with all of these crazy sponsors. No, that's not why these organizations were created. They took care of the chapters and the chapters took care of each other. And then the community saw that and that's what made people want to pour into. And we have to get back to that. If we're not going to do that, then what we're going to end up doing is doing more harm. So I just wanted to drop that jewel this morning because, man, you asked about, are we going to be able to save this country? The question is, are we going to be able to save Black folks in our community if Black leadership keep on acting like the Trump administration? It's one thing to talk about Trump. It's another thing to resemble Trump in everything that we do. And I can go down the litany of organizations that constantly operate and act like the Trump administration, but they're saying that they're in the good hands of trying to help Black people.
No, that's fair. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that, but that's absolutely fair. You should not be in a position where you are unable to call out the bad in something that you are a part of, because just because there's some bad in it does not mean that the entirety is bad. Just because there's some bad in it does not mean that it should be thrown away and or forgotten because a few bad apples are in that bunch. However, as a lover of a thing, whatever that thing is, it is your responsibility to praise it and call it out when it's necessary to call it out. And that's fair. I appreciate that, sir. Anybody else got anything to add to that before we move on?
Rodney's
All
thinking. Rodney, you might want to come off mute if you're going to say something. Go ahead, Rashi.
right.
Well, I just need for our listeners and watchers to know that as powerful as the NAACP is, they're not the onlys. There's the Urban League. There's the there's more than one entity addressing these problems, and so we just have to be mindful of that. We need to be mindful that there's several cats being skint here, and so just be cool, Brother Barry, about the resources because often
Be
those.
cool. Wait,
Well,
wait,
let me
time out.
explain.
Huh?
Okay, well, I'm
Be,
gonna.
I mean, I mean, be
Talk when you
cool.
talk for 20 straight minutes almost, and I just said two sentences, and I just wanted to let you. I wanted you to let me finish my sentence, if that's all right. The coolness is because of what comes with the money. You think you get just a cachet of money that to run the operation systems. But one of the problems that people have found is that if once you accept the money, you accept some of the stipulations that come with said money. And usually, yes, I am upset when people who do the work don't get compensated. But I'm more worried when they get compensated by people who want to alter the work. The people you work for, the people the NAACP work for, don't really have their coins. We just beggars. We're beggars asking for social justice from one out of several government, entities that said they were going to bring social justice. If you say you about social justice, I call you when society has become unjust. However, when y'all start taking any old money or any money without knowing what the contracts say for the money, you end up quite possibly shooting yourself in the foot of activeness, trying to stay in alignment with the money. So yes, it takes money to do social change. Yes, it does. And no, the people who you working for don't really have your coins. But I have seen several organizations chase money that ends up negatively impacting the overall work that the organization is trying to do. So let's give you just an example. Say you trying to work with indigent homeless, right? You need cash on hand because you need to be able to buy diapers or a hotel room, or you don't know when you're dealing with the street people. You really don't know exactly what you're purchasing. So when you go to an organization and say, hey, the way that I'm going to help this community is I need about $5,000 in cash in my pocket, right? So that I can get about the business of the people. There's very few organizations you can go to and say, hey, I just need $5,000 fluid cash every week or every, something so that I can attend to the needs of the people. It's real work, but it's hard to write up in a in an invoice. It's hard to write up. So eventually the work gets done. You write it up after the fact, and it gets compensated for. Some organizations can't do that. They just can't. They have to have more freedom to operate because of the nature of the business that they do. And I'm telling you, Brother Barry, some of those monies restrict the action and freedoms of the organizations that's receiving the money. You'll get the money, but you can't do with it what you think you can do with it. And
Rashi,
so while I
people
do
died for
appreciate
those
you saying,
dollars in this city.
I got it.
I
But
talked for 20 minutes, but I don't think you listened to what I said.
I did exactly. I said
No,
right
no,
there,
no, no, no,
listen,
no, no, no,
listen,
no,
you
no, no,
didn't
no,
get it.
no. Because we're not chasing the money. The money was offered because there were unrest. The dollars were supposed to go to do the work of the people in this city, not in DC, not in Baltimore, not in Chicago, not in LA, but in Minneapolis. Similar to George Floyd when they walked out with a $15 million check and no money came back into here. We have to get this idea that every time black folks get money, it's evil, so somebody has to put it away. This is how white supremacy works. It's almost like when you see a kid at a birthday party. You hand the kid $100 bill, the parent takes the money and say, nope, I'm gonna take that from you because you're gonna harm yourself with it. You're gonna buy too much ice cream, too much candy. So I know what to do with this money. I'm gonna put this into my account and I'm gonna make sure that I save you from you. And white folks do the exact same thing to us. And as Precise is saying, black folks start doing the exact same thing to other black people. Sometimes what I'm saying to you, sister, is that those dollars didn't come with stipulations. They came to help. And that's what I'm saying. It's not about if you're gonna, we didn't even know about the money. And I think I didn't even want to go into full detail about it. We didn't even know until we made a request for something else and they said, oh, we just cut you a check for $6 for doing the work here. So I'm just telling you, that's not always the case. And I know I talked for 20 minutes and you say you didn't interrupt, but sometimes when you have conversations in this group and on this thing, the response is always just to be contrary, just to be contrary. There is no explanation of taking that type of money out of a place and not putting into the people that's suffering in that place. That is stealing. And we would be talking about this if the Trump administration did this to American citizens, we would say that it was stealing. What would we say when somebody black does it? If it was the black church, we'll have all the criticism in the world. We would say, oh, these people pay the tithes. Why aren't they getting X, Y, Z?
Yeah, we did.
No, 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 no.
We
I'm not.
held them
No,
to
no. I'm not
account.
talking about we. I'm talking to you because
We
sometimes.
did.
No, no, no.
No,
I'm
I
talking to you.
did.
No, 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 no. I want you to hear me out because what you said was I talked for 20 minutes. So clearly, when I talked, you weren't listening because when he took the money was supposed to go here. It didn't go here. It went to DC. And he's not saving us in any type of way, but not putting that money back in here. That's what I'm saying. And it's not okay. I don't think on no platforms should we be okaying taking the money from Black folks in general, especially at a time when these organizations can't even give money to nonprofits to help them out because of this administration. So when you do get $1 or you get $2, it need to stay what it's done for, because the money are not coming anywhere else. And we've talked about this consistently in here. But it almost seems like sometimes when things are said, the response is always just to be contrary. All
No,
I'm
I'm
saying is
telling you, I don't have
that's
time
not
to
right.
just be contrarian. I'm telling you what I have seen in contracts. I have seen, say, gang truce contracts. The city give 2 organizations money to bring a gang truce. Yes. What does that look like? They don't know. They just give it to the executive secretary or the executive operator of each one. What ends up happening is just walking down the street talking to people. How much money did that need? Nothing. How much money did they get? More than $150,000 each. Okay, so you go to them and you ask them what happened with the money. They said there were meetings here, meetings there. We're not privy to it. But the money that they received was from the state, and they were supposed to do something about gang violence in Kansas City. So now 6 months later, when we still banging, and they asked those people what they did with the money, they don't have invoices. The work that they had to do was not invoiceable. So the money, next time when it was time to give money, they didn't want to give them to them because the stipulations for using that money were above and beyond what could be handled with the actual act. That's what I'm saying. Not that it's okay to steal money from Black people. That's not what I said. I said, look at the money and make sure that what you're being asked to do with said money is in alignment with the fucking work that you do. Because if not, you're going to end up, one, hurting future people who want said money because they're going to assume they're out of compliance as well. And number two, you're going to hurt your own organization because you want to do work that the society is not prepared to pay for yet. And
So,
so it is not being contrary. I'm telling you, I have received said monies. I'm telling you, I have watched other people receive said monies and get in trouble because the work that the money was for was unable to be covered with. They couldn't atone for the work that they did. The work is beyond something you can put on an invoice. So I am not trying to say it's okay to steal money from people from Minnesota. I'm not even saying that you're not justified in being angry over no money trickling down to an organization that's supposed to be doing social justice work. I said, look at that money instead of being mad about not having it. Look at it and make sure that it was in alignment with what you all were trying to do.
so let me interject for a second. I think that his point is it should have come back locally and they made the decisions as to what to do with the money, period. It should never have gone national. And if it had gone national, that's understandable, but a portion of it still should have come back to the local branch. So the local branch could have done something with it in accordance with what's happening on the ground. I think what she's saying to you, Thomas, is too often money is given and there are ties to that said given money that are never explained publicly. But to your point, Thomas, there were no ties to this money. It was given just to help settle things down, if you will, or it was a donation made to make that said corporation feel good about itself and or look good to its customer base. So they put no restrictions on it. Like, here's the dough, you know, understand business is business. That's a tax write off for them, so they don't give a shit. It's like we gave it to you, we get the opportunity to do the pictures, the big old check. Here you go. You're smiling, we're smiling. Everybody thinks that we're engaged. It's good, it's good, it's great PR. It's a nothing burger for us money wise, but it's great PR, which helps us secure future business and or continue with the businesses that we have.
No, it's like the Hamburglar. This is like the Hamburglar. Remember the Hamburglar? They
Yes, I
come
do.
with the mask on, with the hat
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
burgers. See, it wasn't no picture. We didn't see that. We didn't see that. We need those burgers.
Right. Yeah, you got you. It got took before you got to you.
It wasn't no picture. It wasn't no explanation. It wasn't no. And then you find out later. But hey, I gave you. You gave me what?
Yeah, you didn't give me. You didn't give me anything.
You gave me what? So again, what I'm saying, and I don't want to discourage people from joining any of the legacy organizations. You got to treat people correct. And there are ties to all dollars that's given. But these organizations, I know our organization, again, being one of the oldest, and we're a well-ran chapter, we understand when dollars are given, what to do with those dollars and what not to do, as well as being transparent to our community. But when you don't have those dollars and it's that type of money, and that's a heavy lot of money, other philanthropy groups think that we have those dollars and we don't have those dollars. So that means that when we do try to go and get more dollars, guess what they're telling us? The bank is closed. Why? Because you're supposed to have XYZ. It's not even a calendar year. And you're saying you don't have nothing?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, let's move on. Let's not get stuck there forever. Um, trying to figure out where to go next. To be honest, well, let's stick with the same vein because there was an announcement from the convention about the independent autopsy of Brother Nolan Wells. Now, this is continues to be a developing story. You know, the question is, how did the brother wind up in the water when he was supposed to be on the island? There's a whole lot of questions surrounding this. Why was he left? Why didn't he leave with them? What was the young lady's involvement, if any? Uh, Ben Crump has a very full calendar. It's this case, it's another case, it's another case. Uh, my head hurts just thinking about the pile of black bodies that are continuously growing under mysterious or unknown circumstances. We always knew that the tactics demonstrated by this administration were going to turn themselves toward us. Is this in fact the beginning? Rodney, you can stop because I'm coming to you first for this question. Is this the opening salvo of attacks against us that either the administration has sponsored or the administration had, well, I shouldn't say sponsor monetarily. I should say sponsor with the effect of setting the appetite for. That's what I should say. I shouldn't say necessarily monetarily. I wouldn't say they
Why
sponsored
not? Why not?
it. I have no facts to back that up, so I wouldn't go that far without that. Without some degree of fact.
If you
I don't
look
want to
at
just throw that up.
the amount of money that's been donated to this administration or to certain individuals in this administration from people who were convicted of crimes or about to be convicted of crimes, but many of them were convicted of crimes. And then they donated money to the administration, and all of a sudden they got a pardon, or their
Mm.
case was dropped. Or if you look at the DOJ, I believe they disbanded their white uh, collar crimes unit. And in that, not only that, but when those people are getting pardoned, they're supposed to pay restitution for these white collar crimes. We're talking from the millions to the billions of dollars, and they're donating money. They get the pardon. They keep the money that they got through fraudulent means, right? And then they donate to the campaign. But to top it off, and maybe the worst part, is the harm that they did from stealing from other people because they're pardoned. They no longer have to pay the restitution into the tens of millions, hundred. I think it's multiple billions of dollars of restitution has not been paid. And then they fund these somewhat fringe organizations. So, and that we do know. You talking about quid quo quo? There's the quid. There's the quo.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, wasn't it little? I don't know these social media people, little bougie or somebody that is looking for his. I don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah.
many hundreds of
Joe
thousands of
Boosie.
600,000.
dollars that
They
he paid and didn't
got him.
get his pardon.
They got him, baby. They got him good. But he knew he was. That's one of them. I bought bad crack though. That's one of them. My crack ain't real buys. When you go and buy crack, you get what you get. It could be real crack. It could be the finest crack you ever had, or it could be not crack at all. So when he went, he bought crack. He bought a crack. It was a crack deal, not for actual crack. You understand? But it was a crack deal. And when he looked up and saw that it was baking, it wasn't nothing but baking soda and toothpaste, he told. But he bought the crack though. But so how you gonna? I mean, we don't never get mad at the crack dealer when the crack addict cart crying about the crack because we say get your ass off crack and gone. So that's what we gonna tell Boost. That's what everybody uh told Boosie. They told him, well, go on, take your gold medal flower and sit down over there. And he wants us to be mad. And I think we should be because a business deal is a business deal. If you tell me I can, Mr. Rodden, you told me I can come to Vegas and do blah blah blah, and I send you the money. And when I get to Vegas, if I can't find your ass, I bought faulty crack, right? So no matter what, it's a bad deal. He should be able to tell. He looked crazy doing it, but I'm glad he told because at least we know who the crack dealers was.
Well, I kind of think we know who the crack dealer is, and in this case, people are. And thanks to somebody, I think that was Marlon, said that it
Marlon.
was 600,000. He paid $600,000 for his pardon. He actually did the country a service by acknowledging that this business is real and that he got the bad crack deal. But the 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 point I'm trying to make is goes back to what Lee said, is there is funding for the malfeasance that's taking place. And in that funding, it's encouraging other people of that ilk to commit more fraud and to harm more people. Then the flip side of it is that if you are the crack smoker, to continue that, I guess, and you do the same thing, they're gonna come down hard on you and say that they're tough on crime when they're the biggest dealers, the biggest pimps. To going back to Brother Barry's analogy, you know, uh, they're the ones doing it. So their syndicate is set up for them to commit crimes, for them to get paid for committing the crimes, and then for other people, if they commit crimes, to get the book thrown at them. You're talking about equal justice, or as Richard Pryor said, just us. And the thing is, it's not just happening to black people, and it's kind of the good thing, bad thing, is white people getting the taste of it. And maybe that's when people will wake up to it and start pushing back. Now that they're getting beat down by cops, they're getting shot by cops and told that it was in self-defense. They're shooting people in moving vehicles and saying, "Oh, well, it was to save the public." And then the video shows, nah, they were just trying to get away from you. So I no, there is harm being done with the money.
Tom Homan. Tom Homan.
$50,000 sandwich bag.
So he got caught taking 50,000. And if we're really taking a look at what's happening at this point, at some point, people who commit petty crimes it'll be okay for them to just hand officers a bag of money and they don't even have to go to court, because that's literally what we're doing. And I feel like America is top heavy with robbery. That's what they call a bribe. Not because people are earning or deserving of these things. These are billions of dollars, Rodney, you're talking about, because it goes to the crypto situation with the guy who was convicted and how he put that.
Pardon his ass.
Okay. And not only pardon him, but also waive the fees that he had owed the country back in excess, if I'm not, I believe, in hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've saw the hearing where, once again, they were talking about the consumer protection and how they went through all of these corporations, including Meta, including Apple, and a lot of these big tech firms that had owed hundreds of millions of dollars in consumer fraud and banks and all of that. And they went through and just waived everything. But the catch to it all is, we'll waive that fee. Where's my check at? And so it's a
Oh,
pay
you
to
didn't
play.
get one.
But no, I'm talking about as far as that's what the Trump administration is doing.
Oh, absolutely.
So Lee, if you over banking, right, you gonna get your check because you get to you pay to look the other way. If Rodney is over agriculture, then if Rodney says, hey, it's okay if you selling that lettuce with explosive diarrhea. Matter of fact, man, you come drop that check off right now. We'll walk back that statement.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
And so
and harm more people.
And harm more people, right? And the story all of a sudden now, explosive diarrhea has been solved across America because nobody's reporting on it anymore after all of a sudden, hey, it wasn't us.
It was Mexico.
There we have it. And they got rid of it. That was like the fastest moving disease ever because you don't get to hear about it no more. So
are they not reporting on it? Are people not reporting it, or the administration keeping a lid on the information?
The hospitals will always report, but I won't even just say the administration, because I think if we say the administration, that's one part of it. It's the administration that helped all of these mergers of the media companies. And so now the media is no longer reporting. And that's the danger part. The administration is doing one thing, but when the media refuses to report because of these mergers and alike, now you don't know if people are still getting sick. Now you don't get to hear more about the conversations about measles and measles growing throughout the country because the administration has put a cap on those stories cannot be reported.
Marlon says that diarrhea went away as soon as them wire transfers hit them accounts. You know it. Hey, man. Well, look, we said this from day one. This is all about grift. These cats are stealing off the top, right, left, right, and they're doing it right in front of your face. So the comment earlier was the lobby for Israel are buying deals like this all the time, and they always have been through Congress and every POTUS before Trump. Nothing new here. You're absolutely right. The difference is twofold. First fold is it's never been this in front of your face. That's difference number one. Yeah. Difference number two, no one's ever been this damn sloppy to where all the information is getting out. So those are the differences. Well, actually, I would say it was a third. It's never been this out of control. And right now, these cats just don't care. They absolutely do not care. They don't care because they don't know if he's going to be able to extend his term. So they don't care. They don't care because he doesn't care about the Republican Party. The Republican Party can fall to its knees after he leaves. So he will then sit and say, "You weren't losers when I was on the ticket. You need to put me back on the ticket, and then I can make you winners again." I'm telling you, I'm looking at this man's ego. The more and more I think about it, I see his play. You know what I'm saying? It's the potential of plays, I should say, for him. And it's all about him. So if they lose without him, he can walk away scot free and clean. It's like, ain't got nothing to do with me. I wasn't on the ballot. You all are losers. You all lose because when Trump was there, Trump was a winner. That's again, this is why I say this is why he cannot let go of the war with Iran. He cannot be seen as a two-time, potentially three-time loser. This dude is panicking like all giddy up about the midterms. They are panicking about the midterms. They get washed out of the midterms. Iran comes out of this war, conflict, whatever the hell you want to call it, more victorious than what they went in. I should say victorious, stronger than what they went in. He then becomes, and that again, this is why too he's stuck on 2020 still because then he becomes a three-time loser. He cannot allow that to happen. He can't.
Brother Rodney,
I
I,
don't see it.
brother,
So hold
brother,
on. We got a comment. Uh, Here's a thought: Barron Trump for president on a Trump ticket expected. I don't
wow,
see
wow,
that.
that's
The,
hilarious.
yeah,
Anyway,
there's a lot of questions about Barron's.
competency. They say he,
There you go.
yeah,
I was trying to
He
find a sweet word for that, but
technically
yeah,
he's not old enough.
thank you. He's a special needs child. Leave that baby alone.
Technically, now technicalities have not stopped him on other things.
In the
correct.
chat, Brother Rodney, you put in information about how the acceptance of APEC money is going to be a pivotal conversation piece come these next terms. And I agree. I 100% agree. My city councilman, his name is Emmanuel Cleaver, he is on the roster for APEC and is refusing any uh, co- questions or conversation with him about it. He says, as a because he's a pastor, he uses the right for people to exist somewhere. He has a almost eminent domain type reason for the support. But yes, uh, that APAC money and receiving monies from those organizations that have the money comes with rules, right? The money comes with shutting up about this. The money comes with allowing war monies going into that, right? Because it's hard to say, yes, I want APAC money and with my political committee, but no, I do not want to merge my military with Israel, or
Too
no, I do not
late.
want or no, I do not want to share, complex workings of our military data with another organization that's so far away. So, uh, yes, who knew that the acceptance of money, again, the money comes with something that could even get I think it's going to give my councilman unelected. Now, it's fine because he's like 84 or 85 years old. So technically, it's time for him to maybe retire, but he has created no protege that we know we can just sit in his chair. So it's a very odd situation here in Kansas City, and your state, and the reason why I'm bringing it to you, Brother Rodney, was your statement in the chat room about that APAC money. I didn't realize how polarizing APAC money was until recently. Uh, will you
Thankfully, and
will
it's
you speak
about
to
time.
that? Will you speak to that? Because I don't think people know, for one, who APAC is, and two, why that money is polarizing and how it could end up with these midterms making or breaking some people.
Well, I don't know if it's actually going to break anybody because as bad as Cory Booker takes APAC money, Hakeem Jeffries takes APAC money, and neither one of those two people are going to be unseated. And unfortunately, since most of the elections now have moved to the general election, we're not even able to afford for them to lose their seat because then just a MAGA would win that election. So here's an example. and we're talking about the NAACP earlier. The NAACP locally, the president met with one of our Congress people, Congresswoman Susie Lee, told them that voter ID and voter suppression, that's their North Star. I mean, this is a face-to-face meeting. So when they had the vote for the National Defense Authorization Act, they snuck in provisions for voter ID. She voted for it. Now, she just met with the president of the NAACP. Supposedly they're close. And she, not only did she vote for the NDAA that gave America's military to a whole nother country, but then she put in a letter that she supported voter ID. And she didn't even have to put that in the letter, because I wouldn't have known that that was part of the reason why she voted for it. So I think I was talking to a young lady from your city, and she uses a phrase, and I always get these young people phrases wrong, probably why old people shouldn't do it, but something about playing in your top or something similar to that. And I'm thinking
Yeah,
maybe
playing
that's why
on your
she,
top. Yeah, playing in your face, playing on your top. Yeah.
well, they're doing that to us. And because Susie Lee, her primary is over, we cannot dump her now, because if we don't vote for her, we'll get a maggot in her seat. That could be the difference between Congress going to from red to blue.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries, he actually represents my old district in Brooklyn, I believe. But if I was still voting absentee, assuming they would allow me to do that, because I have to send it to the mail, but if they would still allow me to vote absentee there, I I wouldn't want to vote for him, but I would be forced to vote for him because I don't want to take the chance of losing the opportunity to take over the House. So right now, they played in our top, and there's not much we can actually do about it as far as them, because we need them to get into those seats.
Well, okay, so can you speak to APAC then, and why they would even be
So APAC
why
is,
they is in all them bowls, you
it's
know?
an Israeli lobby that quite possibly is the most it's more powerful than unions, because both sides take their money. I mean, and when you are a pack and you can get both sides to take your money, whoever gets in office, you win. And especially when you donating large sums of money. And you said, you were talking earlier, when you, when the string to that money is you better support Israel, and you better never say anything bad about Israel. If Israel's committing genocide, playing in your top, act like no, they're just defending themselves. If Israel can talk the United States into attacking a country that causes everybody in the world to suffer, wow, that's a very powerful lobby. Is America being controlled by Americans in true representative government, or is America bought and paid for and being controlled by Netanyahu, a known war criminal, as designated by the ICC, which the administration this week said that they're going to do whatever it takes to dismantle the ICC brick by brick. The power of money is influence. They're wielding their money, they're gaining the influence, and they're running America's government. And unfortunately, too many black electeds have stuck their finger in the poison well. But after this election, and black people have to be, as a matter of fact, before the election is even over, they, those people back in my neighborhood, they need to be finding somebody to primary Hakeem Jeffries. They need to find somebody to primary Chuck Schumer. And yes, even though the brother's, he's really nice to talk to. Cory Booker needs to go. Susie Lee here needs to go. As a matter of fact, the whole congressional delegation of Nevada needs to go, with the exception of Stephen Horsford. Now, mind you, I ran against him, and I'm saying right now, he doesn't take APAC money. Brother, you can stay, but the rest of from the senators to the House, they need to go because they are harming Americans. People are being killed abroad in this fake war unnecessarily. Thousands are being injured. They're stealing VA benefits. They're taking money that's supposed to go to the wounded. They just like how Trump's charity took money from veterans, or the donation that was supposed to go to veterans, they just took the money. They're doing the same thing with the Veterans Administration now. From money that's being supposed to go to veterans, they're stealing that money too. The grift is real, and it's right in our face. They play it in our top.
So I will say this much, it's always been that way when it comes to the financial aspect of it, especially when you look at the currency and really how they're trying to change over uh, to more of a digital currency. It's going to be rougher because they are tracking every transaction. That's why they want to make it a cashless society. So that way they can manage where your dollars go. And they'll say Uncle Sam is getting his money, but it's not about Uncle Sam getting the money. It's about the banks getting more of the money, the banks getting more of the transactional fee. And what I would say is it's diabolical. But on top of the diabolicalness, it's going to be that way until Americans stop romanticizing the billionaire. That's just what it's going to be. The romanticizing of these billionaires, where they are showing us on full display with this administration. Even though they have money, they don't have power, because anytime this White House say they want something from these corporations, they drop it like it's hot. B, if you look at how most of them are getting their money, when we're going back to what we started off talking about, look at how much they have to fraud the public in order to do those things. And I just look at it from the vantage point of, we have to be careful, because it's going to be some unhealthiness in all of it. I was telling somebody else, it's almost like, well, you see, these things are healthy. You drink too much water, it's not good for you. You eat too many vegetables, it's not good for you. You exercise too much, it ain't good for you. Yes, APAC is a problem. But I will say again, those same people who voted for Trump over Kamala because of Gaza, do you want to do over? Because the purity test sometimes is that we're looking for things to be too pure, and we're not going to find in this environment until we start the osmosis process of cleaning this stuff out. We're not going to find too many pure people, but we have to begin the process. The dollars have to come out of politics. I think John McCain was right about that. The dollars have to come out. You can't have corporations impacting the elections. And one last bit about Trump, because I don't know if you guys saw the White House Correspondents' dinner last night.
I did, and I know because what people need to know is the last one that got fake shot up. And so this was the second one that they put on so that, so that they can have because journalism is supposed to be the freedom of speech and the freedom of press and the freedom of knowledge is supposed to be important in the United States. And so that's right. This is the second one, right, Brother Barry?
Yes. But it was an uneasy event. It was.
You said it was an uneasy event.
I was watching and I was like this. Because it was odd when CNN, when Wolf Blitzer gave that award to the CNN journalists for their coverage. Oh, no, that was the New York Times, for their coverage of the Epstein file release. And to watch Trump, his response, the look on his face, and the whole nine, it was almost like seeing like he laughed, but in the upcoming weeks it's going to be hell to pay the captain.
See what
Right?
Like an stepfather.
What'd you say, Rashi? We couldn't hear you clearly.
Are you kidding? Oh, there's something wrong with my end. Never mind.
And so, but Rodney, it was cringe. And it was cringe in a way that I thought about that and I said, man, even the correspondence dinner is awkward with this guy. How do we as a country, if the media can't really report and they can't even do a correspondence dinner properly, then everything else is crazy. And I saw a brother, I want to make sure, because he was talking about AIPAC, and I want to make sure, brother Naj, right? Brother Naj, I want to say this. I saw that Israel has put in over, I think, $100 million to influence the American public. And they're saying right now, brother, that is money that's being wasted. That they are not getting the influence with the American voter or the American people on the left or the right. That folks are kind of like, hey, Israel is not it in this country. And I don't think no matter what happens inside Iran, even on the Gaza Strip, I think they're going to have some hard time reselling the American public. And I seen a video last week where a white guy showed up to a conservative meeting. Did you see that video? And when he was talking to him and he was talking about how he didn't want the American dollar spent on Israel and he didn't like what they were doing to the settlers and how inhumane it was and whatever the case may be, I would say that baby is on the train. And I don't think they're going to be able to catch it. And that's due to Netanyahu.
So what I think is happening is I think there's the slow awakening of some Americans, but I also think that there's the hardening of the other Americans. In other words, the maggots are more solid maggots, the core of them. And I've always said I believe that core is about 20, no more than 25%. They're going to die maggots. Nothing is going to change them. There's no reason, there's no logic, there's no amount of pain that they can suffer from losing their rural hospitals, losing their VA benefits, losing their food stamps.
Food
Because
out of their own mouth. That's right.
red states are the ones that get the most money from uh, from taxes. Red states have the worst numbers, but this thing with AIPAC is causing some people to be more boisterous about it, and some of them have because your vote is your voice, and some of them have used their vote in the primaries. That has, I believe, put a little bit of fear in the Democratic Party. Not enough fear though, but put a little bit of fear in the Democratic Party. But we have to get past this into the next election to make a difference, because the general election, if I look at what's going on with Tallarico in Texas, and people are saying they're not going to vote for him because of they allege something with Jasmine Crockett. And I'm saying, you're going to cut your nose off to spite your face. I don't like Susie Lee in Nevada right now, but if she was in my district, I'd sure enough be voting for her, because that's going to save my life and give me a chance to fight another day versus allowing the the maggots to continue having power. Because in if you think about what's happened in these 2 years, think about what more would happen in the next 2 years. We there would be no America as we knew it, with the potential for even trying to get it back. That possibility is open. And my final point is, I do believe white people, not enough of them by any means, but I do believe white people are feeling it now. And because they're feeling it, because it's happening to them, for years we got stopped just because we were driving while black or walking while black, biking while black, right? They stopped us, beat us up, killed us, said we were a threat to them. We had a gun, knife, you name the excuse, right? And we would say, hey, that didn't happen. And they would say, if you all would just comply, it wouldn't happen to you. Just comply. They're complying, and the same thing that happened and still happening to us is now happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it brought what was that Reverend Wright said? The chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah.
Last night at the gathering, we had, I think, 15 white people come to the gathering. And these people came, some of them came based off of John Lewis Day that we had last Sunday. And they heard us speak, and the gathering was mentioned, so they wanted to know what it was about. But we had about 15 white people come to the gathering. And these white people, I'm not saying they were all pure for blackness, but they knew that that's what we talked about. And they came wanting to get more blackness and wanting to learn more blackness. And but here's the thing, what they brought with them was resources that we didn't have, and the sharing of those resources with us for our cause. Now, I know we're going to have to be like sinners and be careful who we invite in. I get it. But what I'm saying, though, is for the ones who are down with us, we need to let them be down with us. We're still in the driver's seat, right? Because they
Yeah.
will take over if you give them a chance. But keep them in the position that they belong in. And I see potential in us moving the ball and moving the nation closer to our favor. But we're going to have to ally ourselves with somebody. And we
Yeah.
as well ally ourselves with the white people who are willing to follow our agenda, because we need them.
Yeah.
They're the ones who control it. When we go to, well, not me, but when black people typically go to our school board meetings, they get blown off. Now those white people, when they go, after talking to us and we tell them what we want them to talk about, and they talk, all of a sudden they're getting meetings with the superintendent. They're getting promises that we never got. Things are happening. So I would caution us on totally repelling white people who are down for the cause. We need to do our due diligence, but we need allies. And these people belong to multiple groups last night, and they're going to tell their groups about the gathering and how they should come, how they should read some of the books that we tell them to read, or, well, I suggest that they read. You know how we do it, Brother Barry. So I think that it is time for the people to eat the rich, to be quite blunt. If it's ever going to happen, this is when it's going to happen. Because if it doesn't happen now, they're going to knock all our teeth out, and we won't even be able to gum them to death.
They've been kind of quiet too. Usually you hear about a college here. The only people I've heard about really raining that money down are the ex-wives of the billionaires. You understand? They seem to be having a give off. You can get a thrown off rich white lady to get cough up that.
Mackenzie Phillips.
She's got a band of them. It's a band of them. It's she has it's something she running. She ain't at the top of it, but it's a band of white ladies.
I think it's Gates French.
Melinda,
Uh,
Melinda, okay, Melinda giving some coughing that money up. If you piss them white ladies off, they'll take your fortune and spread it like warm butter on society. And they've been doing it. So you're right, Brother Rodney. You just have to decide if you're gonna align yourself. You're just gonna have to
well, if they're
decide.
gonna align themselves with
Yeah,
us, because we're
and you
in
have to be
alignment,
careful. You have to,
we're in
and that's
alignment.
the dance. That's the dance we're doing with Israel. That's the dance you're doing with the power forces of the gathering. And so, how do you keep it? How do you keep the integrity of what you got going on, right, Brother Barry, and not get played by the people who say yes, they're gonna bring money that they don't bring. The dance of the work and the people with power, because that's what we're looking at. You do the work of the gathering, right? Picking out the books, finding the restaurant, making sure it's black owned or blah, 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 food, keeping the atmosphere safe. Blah, blah. That's the work of the gathering. Being there in your presence so that people can be open and with a the griot, the elder in the room, right? And so, Brother Barry, what you bring is organizational skills, not grassroots activism, knowledge of the people. So when they don't listen to y'all, even though you asking them to come in and do the work that you all have deemed necessary, what then? How do you integrate without being taken over? Because that's essentially what's happening when you decide with United States, right? When you integrate with another country and look, and then now you're at war with, not at war at them, but in wars with them. You're antagonizing the world with them. So it's a really delicate balance, Brother Rodney. And I'd like for you to talk about how the government is supposed to be working on that. One of the things we're supposed to do is give aid to the world, and we pulled it. We pulled
So
our
I,
U.S. aid, so we don't
I
even really have allies the way we
so I
should.
just want to say real quick, as far as us as people, because Brother Barry wants to get in, is there's a difference between integration and assimilation, and we're not talking about assimilating with white people and these white groups. Now that's not what we're doing. What we're talking about is we have the black agenda, our agenda, that they're joining on and asking us what can they do to help. And then we tell them. And one of the things we mutually agreed on is y'all are going to be out front. We're not running out there to get shot, to get hung, to get run over, because that's what they'll do to us. You're front facing, and that's what they've agreed to. And not only did they agree to it, but that's what they're doing. Brother Barry.
Um, I would just say, a lot of times the dollars, when it comes to our organization, we make the presumption that it's the white folks that's kind of doing the bad deed. And what you'll find out is it's not that the dollar, the people who's giving you the money is the problem. It's sometimes the receiver of the dollars, because they have the ability to ask for the ask, but they've never had that type of revenue to manage. And when you don't have that knowledge to manage money, it's tough. And we've seen that with BLM, Black Lives Matter. I mean, it was hundreds of millions of dollars that were poured in. You can't say the white folks who gave them the money mismanaged the money. That was just black folks who didn't understand. And what did they do? They did what they thought rich people would do with millions of dollars. They started buying houses. They started to go on trips. They started to do all the luxury things, which I feel like that should probably be a future show. With that being said,
Yeah, that'd be a good Netflix.
I think that when we start talking about revenue and we start talking about the corruption of what's happening with this administration, this president has always been corrupt before he was a president. The people that he brought along with him have always been corrupt before they got into these offices. The Republicans are power drunk. And so the Republicans love the idea of power no matter what. They're going to always put themselves in a position to have that power. And they don't care if they sell it out to the Russians. They don't care if they sell it out to the North Koreans. They just want the power. And I feel like that for me is what's driving this. It's not necessarily the money. I feel like, Rashi, these people are just putting this money, they talk about a slush fund. Well, they're putting this money aside just in case they have to tie up the the new federal government in court so that they can, fight for all of the fraud that's going to be disclosed. And so, you know, it, we have our community have a funny relationship with money. We like it. Matter of fact, we love it, but we're scared of it too. We're scared of if we who gives it to us, but then we have a level of skepticism anytime one of us have too much of it further than our eye can see. And so, um, and I'm saying this from a personal as well as a professional side of it, where I've seen like that idea of money, you know, for us. Now, for other groups, it's a little different, but it's just always amazing, when it comes to our people. And I know Precise asked, where is the Democrat version of Project 2025? That's a great question, P. I think that's a question.
I thought that was the Constitution, right?
No, 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 because you need something that's going to have to reverse osmosis, all of these things that is taking place
Okay.
under Trump.
Well, I say we got a good lick in with that new housing thing we got. I
Not
mean, we at least took him out the hands of the venture capitalists and the banks,
not
and
enough.
and then that's gonna knock the price back down for so
Not
they can stop playing that bullshit because ain't no bank finna
not
be able to within a location or region sustain $1 million. So I don't know. Maybe just that was one of our wins.
no. And the reason why is because unless so it's like it's such thing as a grandfathered law. Like I'm grandfathered in. If I got most of it already, and then you grandfather me in, well, I already got most of the land. What are you going to do about the people that has, these equity firms that already own most of Black Atlanta, that own most of Black Houston, that own most of Black Chicago? They already bought the land. Everything else at this point that you can go buy probably is not developed. And how do you enforce the monopoly laws that should be on the books, right? And so that's kind of, how
Well,
I
okay,
feel about that one.
okay, I'll go for another win then. We still have the ACA. We still have Obamacare. We just put the money. One of our democratic strategies, Marlon, is to reinvest back how we supposed to for Obamacare. I mean, for the American Affordable Care Act. And so that could be part of our democratic ticket. One, we double down on the housing thing where we work with local land banks and whatever. It's something related to land banking. Anyway, and the second thing we can do, Marlon, Brother Rodney, I know you may be coming in. Brother Marlon said, well, we as Democrats, what could we fashion as a as our version of Project 2025, right? He said, what we doing 2028? And I was saying, one is we double back down on the Affordable Care Act. We beef up this new housing bill so that it has more local reach. And last but not least, we have to do something about. I know y'all gonna be like, "What are you talking about, Rashi?" We got to do something about like drugs and like addiction. We got to get back on because we have people released in the street that are making America very unsafe. And part of their psychosis is drug related. And I believe start catching people under the umbrella of of tackling drugs, like I know it sounds like revitalizing the war on drugs, and I'm talking about going the other way, where you help the addicts in a way that the I'm still working on it, but it's a drug related facet to the new ticket for Democrats. They're going to have to do something about the level of addiction in this country and how it has taken its toll on our overall population and what we look like as a whole when we let it go. Because when we catch people, Brother Rodney, that then ran into the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you tap them veins, he's higher than a Georgia motherfucking pine. You understand? I bet you most of the people that we consider dangerous, if we tap them veins, we figure out that they are under the influence. And I believe our democratic push is going to be health with the added tackle of doing something somehow definitively about substance abuse and its ties to mental health instability.
Rossi, how about simply undoing everything that's in Project 2025? That's an easy place to start. I'm not saying just only do that, but I am saying do all of that. Undo it. There's nothing in Project 2025 that's happened yet that's benefited the people because it was never designed to benefit the people. It was always designed to consolidate power, to take money from the people and transfer it to the wealthy so that you can co-opt the wealthy in your corner. You can keep the people sick, you can keep the people weak, you can keep the people divided, you can keep the people fighting amongst one another while they keep pickpocketing all of the people. So for me, I mean, to me, for the Democrats, it's pretty easy. We're going to undo Project 2025. We're going to bring back and the Biden infrastructure, the Biden CHIPS Act, all of those things that were
Yes,
actually
that's it.
creating
That's it.
jobs, that were rebuilding the economy, bring them back. It's almost as if we don't have to do anything new. Now, in that, we need to make sure that Black people are elevated in receiving of those things. So we need to do that. But in general, oh, and you were talking about Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. That's nice. Yeah, definitely bring all those provisions back. But just go to single payer, universal health care. There's absolutely no reason why America cannot do it and do it better than any place else. And we need it. I think Brother Barry mentioned the measles. The measles is will ravage this country because, as you know, the measles ravage our immune system and make us more susceptible to other illnesses. So
Yeah.
they're setting us up to get sick
Yeah.
more frequently, and even heck, Mitch McConnell's having polio complications, assuming he's still with us, and we may have to start getting iron lungs back because people are not taking polio vaccines.
Yeah.
So undo everything from Project 2025.
I would say more than just undo. I think the Democrats, and I agree with Precise. I think universal basic health care for Americans free should be. I also believe that it should be free college education for
Mm-hmm.
Americans, period, as a way to get us prepared for if it's AI or whatever the next tech boom is. You got to invest in it. And I believe they should wipe out all of student loan debt.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because the way that they gave all those dollars back to these corporations for fines and fees and the whole nine,
Mm-hmm.
the investment these corporations have made with the fraud of Trump, this administration, I see no reason on why this country or the Democrats coming in should show favor to those corporations. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that they should do is they need to expand the Supreme Court.
Right.
They need to return Glass-Steagall.
Yeah.
They need to reverse Citizens United.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to break away from any intelligence sharing with the Israelis. You
Bring
have
back faces way. Bring back the.
you have you have to, Rodney. I know you was thinking about it, but Rodney, you got to think about it when they're voting to merge our intelligence sharing, that they have access to our military. I think I saw something where they voted on in the House and they passed. It hasn't passed in the Senate yet. Hopefully, it won't pass in the Senate. But if it does, I'm just projecting if it does. So it hasn't happened yet. But if that does happen, for whatever reason, if they figure out a way to put that into another bill for something that Americans really need, I just feel like you have to walk these things back, not 50% of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to jump it back 150%. Meaning, no, I'm taking it away, and because you tried it, it's a penalty on the back end. And if they do that within, now you can't do it. If I'm being honest, we can't expect much from the Dems in after the midterms if they win. It has to be this way. Hear me out. What I'm saying in 2027, if they have control over the House and the Senate, like a good chess match, they should open up in a defense posture. If you win the next election, you go on offense. So the defense is I'm stopping everything that you've been trying to do, and we are putting everybody on trial because we got a clean house. Don't bring no new food in, Roddy, with the roaches still rolling around. You can't do that. You got the roaches and the rats on your plate. You can't bring in the new food, but you have to fumigate and exterminate, and then after you clear that out, okay, now you go on offense. And when you go on offense, you have to wipe it all out. And I feel um I do feel like they do need a Project 2025 style agreement with Americans so that people can see though their plan. Because I think that giving people hope and an understanding of what's happening, and I think it's pretty simple. I think with Doge and all of these other things, I think the Republicans have made it crystal clear why you would want these things to take place. And I'll end on this note. It is the weakening of the national defense, not what's going on abroad, but what's happening in this country that should scare us all. What they're doing with the FBI, what they're doing with the health department, what they're doing with education, what they're doing to the border. And I'm not even talking about Mexico, what they're doing in Canada. Like the beefing with Canada is just freaking crazy. Okay.
In a fight for Greenland, right? In order to get to Greenland.
Well, I think that, I mean, I sort of think we're saying the same thing. Is but what I do have a little difference of opinion with is the timeline,
Okay.
because we're going to have to do walk and chew gum at the same time, because the American people are traumatized and they're in flux and they want change and they want positive change is going to benefit them, and they want it now. Just
Mm-hmm.
like they hurt them now, they want to be healed and made whole now.
Mm-hmm.
The tariffs, the tariffs are supposedly illegal, but he just declared more tariffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the executive branch can always stay ahead of the courts. They may have to do something later. But the thing is even the money that has been taken back out of the treasury,
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't gone to the people
Mm-hmm.
who spent the money. The money has gone to the corporations. So the corporations have won on both ends. They got the people to pay the extra, the tax, so that's what a tariff is. They got the people to pay the tax to the federal government, and now the federal government has given the money to the corporations. And so now we don't hear the corporations squawking too much, do we?
No.
Because they're getting paid. They're being paid off with our money. This is like the largest transfer of wealth from the poor or the everyday man, John and Jane Q. Public, to rich people since the 20s.
Right.
So, no, I don't think the people are going to be willing to wait to get stroked. They want to be stroked right, and they deserve to be stroked right now, because just like that money is going back to the corporations, that money could have came back to the individual citizens who actually paid that money. They are sucking money out of they're sucking money out of the economy. When you suck that money out of the economy, it's no longer available to anybody else. What's Elon Musk became a trillionaire, and even though his stock is down, I think he's still a trillionaire, close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But he did that because the government forced investors to buy his stock. So, you talk about DEI, he couldn't lose. As always, white people set up white people for success, and they set up everybody else for failure. And so, no, I don't think people are. No, they want that universal health care, single payer, because the Affordable Care Act was what Obama could get.
Yeah.
That's not what he really wanted. He wanted universal single payer. And we should have universal single payer.
Yeah.
So when I say turn back Project 2025, yeah, the way you said it, 150%. We're not just taking it back to what it was, but we're expanding in those areas. I'm with you. I'm with you 150% in that. When you talk about expanding the courts, I don't think they should necessarily talk about expanding the court so much right now. But I do think once they get in, they need to expand the court, and maybe with those new seats, put term limits on those seats. I'm not sold, to be honest, I'm not sold on term limits for the SCOTUS yet. But if there's going to be term limits, if we expand the court, then let's start out putting term limits on those expansion seats and see how that works. Because when we put term limits on elected officials here, it just created a revolving door from going to the school board, to the county commission, to the assembly, to the city council, to the senate. It same people, different seats, gave us no change. But I think that's a no-brainer. And you got to get rid of APAC. And you were talking about intelligence sharing. Intelligence sharing is not the problem. The problem was in turning our military over to a foreign state. Here's
Mm-hmm.
another problem, and I thought you were going to mention it. Is right now 45 is co-opting America's military. It is no longer, or it's in flux, but under Leaky Pete, your mama call you trash Hepseth, the so-called Secretary of War, the guy that wants to inject testosterone in everybody,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because apparently he doesn't have it. But anyway, he is turning people in the military,
Mm-hmm.
he's turning them into white nationalists.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons, just one, because it's not good for our military, but, and I keep telling people, please look at Civil War one more time, especially towards the end. Look at that movie. Remember that scene. But 45 is setting up his bunker so that if the Democrats do take the House, and especially if they take the House and the Senate, he is setting it up so that he will be entrenched in DC. He will have his own plane, the unsafe and unsecure uh, grift to gift from Qatar. He'll have that. He'll have his massive bunker complex, better than Hitler ever could have had, where he could stay there forever in luxury, right? And then he will have his militia people, his boogaloos. He will have his Proud Boys, his Patriot Front, his Oath Keepers, but he'll also have a section of the United States military. And that, to me, is the scariest part, is that he is co-opting the military so that when it's time for him to leave, they will defend him staying in place.
And with
That we
and with
should be
now
concerned about.
he has a state a state sanctioned one because he got ICE now, right? Not
Mm,
just his vein of the military.
So
Military.
ICE is one thing, and that's bad enough. And Brother Berry, to your list, I would say the total dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security, not just of ICE, not just of Border Patrol, not just of the Bureau of Prisons, but the total dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security, including the National Director of Intelligence. Because what we inadvertently did, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, is we have set up the president to have his own military, his own sort of government within a government,
mm,
or police within a police state. We've enabled him to have it because we've given him too much power. Even the war in Iran, the Congress are the only ones who are supposed to be able to declare war.
mm.
We've been at war over 100 days. Those troops should, Congress should have pulled that. We have to take the power. And unfortunately, even though I don't like doing things automatically, some of these things have to be automatic. No, the president cannot write treaties because that belongs to Congress. Those things have to be reinforced with automatic penalties. And the Democrats need to push to join the International Criminal Court. And some of these people, once we get done with them, assuming that we can do something with them, then they need to be turned over to the International Criminal Court.
So I agree with you. My only thing, and when Risa, what Marlon said, he said they admitted it wasn't a ballroom the other day. Heck said just check everybody. I saw Precise talking about reparations for Black folks need to be a focus on the back end. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that as well. He called him Hennessy Hexeth. Uh, um, so I want to ask this question. I had a question for you. The thing that I always wonder, are there things that they could reverse without the executive branch signature? So could the Senate and the Congress pass some reversing things that is veto proof? Are there veto proof things that they could sign? That, I guess that's probably my question when it comes to finance. Like when we're talking about reversing things that's harming poor people or whatever the case, even what Rashi was talking about with the USAID. Rashi, that's what you were talking about, right?
Right, how we let them people starve and how that's killing us abroad, man. Letting people starve, and you think don't nobody care, but that backlash hit one nation, it's a domino effect of starving, traveling people.
Yeah.
You set that shit off, you unstabilize people from other nations. They try, it used to be our, hey, look, we're the good guys. Now you
Well,
take that.
Sister Rashi, it was more than that. It was food is cheap for us. We can give you food and we don't have to worry about you going to war against us. We can give you health care and we don't have to worry about your illnesses coming here. It was the cheapest form of national defense in multiple areas for this country. And then what makes it even worse is as many hungry people that there are in America, those millions of pounds of food that they had to go to USAID, at least they could have opened up the storehouses, so to speak, and given it to Americans. They didn't even do that. They literally destroyed the food. So that should have told everyone just where they are and how they feel about everybody else.
Yeah, those programs, Brother Barry, you were saying.
So I'm just saying those programs and things like that, could that happen with a majority in the Senate? A majority. I'm just looking at the veto proof things that they could pass because I feel like even if they take over the House, they take over the Senate, it's still 2-on-2. Matter of fact, it's still 3-on-2, unless they could do some veto proof things. And let me give you an example of what I mean by veto proof. If they come back in and they just enforce monopoly laws and say, nope, I know you just bought Paramount, but you're too big, breaking that up. Nope, I know you just bought T-Mobile, breaking that up. You're too big. If they went through and they slashed those things, that would do a couple things for the economy. It would create jobs when you start breaking those things up, and it start creating competition for the little guy, which would infuse some cash as well. But they're 3-on-2 because it's the executive branch, it's still the Supreme Court, and then you got to deal with the media. That's why I feel like you got to break some stuff up with the monopoly law, because if you break the media conglomerates up and say, nah, based off of you know, this being too big to fail, we got to break you guys up. Do you think that that's plausible?
Yeah, because there's existing laws on the books for monopolies, and what we've just done is we've ignored it.
Mhm.
So it's I don't. I mean, maybe that we may have to create new laws or modify, but for the most part, I don't even think we have to do that. To almost what you first said, it's enforcing what is already there that
Okay.
under this administration they've kind of turned a blind eye to and basically said, well, we don't care that we're not supposed to do that. We're going to do it. And basically they're daring us. They're saying we're going to do it, stop us. And we're a little hesitant to stop them. So yes, there's a bunch of things that we can do. Heck, even to expand the Supreme Court, that's a simple now it is an act of Congress, so you would have to uh, vote on it,
Mhm.
right? But it's a simple majority vote. It's not like you have to have 60%. It's one vote, 50 plus one. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. With that being said, we got 8 minutes left. Sister Rashi, what do you got that you want to close out the week with for the good peoples?
Uh, I have actually been staying away from Nolan Wells's information. I don't like the way it's being covered. I'm not saying nothing about his parents or nothing. I'm just saying the amount of information. I want people to be careful. Uh, down putting Nolan Wells related information into your, even with Nancy Grace and all that on the. I want you to be careful because nobody's got a lid on it. Nobody's holding on to that to make sure that what you see is was not from 30 years ago, or a whole nother, uh, Blasian child that just looks like Nolan. There's a lot of information flooding the internet right now in order to flame that fire, and I would like for us to grieve without inundating ourselves every day as much as possible with information that no one, not Ben is doing his work, but he is not a media. He don't vet media. Nobody does in America. You can put whatever the fuck you want out there, and that's the problem. Please be careful because in the days of AI and all that other stuff, you could be watching a video of him behind a boat having sex with the white girl, and it's just not real. You understand? It's not real. So that's what I want to leave in our minds. I want to make sure that we grieve, yes, collectively, so that we can be more vigilant with our children, more diligent with where they are, what their activities are up to, but also to be careful with that thing in your hand or that screen in your face because some of that information is just simply not true, and you have altered your whole brain chemistry on information that someone intentionally put out there to bait you, like a literally million person or plus million plus person bait job. And so you'll go to talking about it, you'll go to mentioning it, and you won't find out for the next 6 months to a year whether or not you were talking about something that made sense. So please, 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 even the most vetted of journalists have got caught up in this thing. Do not allow yourself to ingest Nolan Wells specifically, but in general, other high key uh, cases like this without putting on your skepticism hat on who's reporting, what's the quality, all right? Keep yourself safe mentally out there. Other than that, brothers, I'm so glad we were making it today. I'm so glad to see you, brother Rodney, out here thirst trapping. And so, uh, yeah, nice. I just like the shirt. I like a showcase. It looks like it's a showcase. So yeah, Have a good day, fellas. What you got going on, brother Barry?
Oh no, let's go to Brother Rodney first.
Sorry, brother Rodney.
Well, I have two overlapping veterans events to go to. Plus, I'd like to get my ride cleaned up. But what I want to say to folks is tomorrow would be the 83rd birthday of Sam Smith if he was still with us. Um, Typically, 5 years after a person has transitioned from this life to whatever is next, the name is not even mentioned. And Sam's name is mentioned every week, not just for Sam's sake, because he's no longer with us, but to remind people of the legacy of Sam Smith that here in Las Vegas, we're still a part of. And last night, Brother Barry, I wish you could have been there. Uh, Other than the shock of seeing all of the white faces, but it was hearing what they had to say. It was it was their recognition of the importance of blackness and how they all need to get it and how they are less than because of it. And then that they're going to spread blackness to their various groups. Now, I don't ultimately know how that's going to turn out and what they're going to do, but I can tell you what I saw and heard and felt last night. And we're all in the same boat now. Jesse Jackson used to say that. We're all in the same boat now. White people getting shot just like black people. No, don't invite them all in because always remember sinners. But when you have allies, don't don't treat them bad,
Yeah,
right? Don't become the new oppressor.
yeah.
My blackness is not so I can become the oppressor of white people. My blackness is so all people, and especially black people, get that equal justice and are on that equal playing field.
Mhm.
Look for those who are serious about it and being about it, and then do it collectively because that's how we're going to overcome MAGA. MAGA can, they're pedophiles, any type of crook, they'll still hang with them because they're one of theirs. We need to hang with our people.
Well, I want to end by saying RIP to the young brother Corey Ruiz in Madison, Wisconsin. His execution was tragic, but it was a reminder, and I've often said it on this show, election years are the most violent years for black and brown bodies in this country. And this is an election year. And you will see them talking about fighting crime. I just saw that there was a mass shooting last night in California. There was one here last week in Minneapolis. 9 people got shot. And then the day after, 4 other people got shot downtown. And what I would like to say is this. I want to read this by Derek Bell, and I hope I got a little bit more time. It says, first rule, regardless of expertise or experience, a black person's statements concerning race are dismissed as special pleading and are not given serious consideration. We see that with the Trump administration. Second rule, black victims of racism are generally viewed as less credible witnesses than white observers, as it is assumed that black people cannot be objective about racial issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's another issue. Third rule, an exception to the second rule, black individuals who publicly criticize other black people for saying or doing things that upset white people are granted enhanced standing and elevated credibility, regardless of their actual expertise. And here's the last rule that I want to read. When a black person or group takes a stance that white society deems outrageous, the white community still actively recruit other black people to get to condemn that stance. Those who comply receive enhanced visibility, status, while those who refuse are often assumed to endorse the action and face political or social consequence. I say that to you all to say, black people do protest black on black violence, no matter what some black people say. We are not happy with black on black violence. The difference between black on black violence and when the police gun you down is that you know that that black criminal is going to go to jail. If there's a video, he's going to go to jail. There is no guarantee in the Coy Ruiz situation that that officer will go to jail. There is no guarantee that that officer will even lose their job. With that, stay vigilant, stay mindful, but hey, stay black. And Brother Lee Vaughn should be bringing this out. And when he takes us out, we'll roll in. But we want to thank you all for tuning in to Real Radio. We'll be back next week. And as Lee always say, if no one told you they love you, Rodney and Rashi love you. I'm a little different.
I do love y'all. That's what I say. Thank you.
Brother Barry, you can love. Don't give up your
Oh no,
love.
no, 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 no. I'm just hey, listen, man. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm playing. I'm joking. You know, I do care for my people. I care for people in general, and I want us all to be happy. I want us all to be healthy. So I say that in kidding, but I do also say in all seriousness, though, we're happy if you are tuning in, whether it's 10 people or 2 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. We're happy for those people, and we love you guys for tuning in. Precise, Marlon. I keep forgetting brother's name.
Is
I
it
know
Najee?
Najee, brother from the military. Najee came on before. We appreciate the comments, and we man, as a collective, we just want to say thank you. Now I got to get we got to get Lee to end it out, and then after that, we will say peace. Lee might be eating some cake.
He's somewhere cupcaking. That's where he's at.
Cupcaking.
Yeah, Lee can end it out. But
Hey,
yeah,
and for those of you who are listening, I am not able to see a lot of your comments in the chat. That's why I don't typically say anything on it. It's not because it's not of value to me. I actually hear about those when Brother Barry or Lee read them.
hey man, we got some great commenters, and I appreciate those people, man. Look, Lee. As long as Lee is rolling, we can't have the dead time, so I don't want to leave you guys here. So, I do want while I'm here talking, if you locally here, the Heritage Park situation, I haven't had a chance to really talk about it here, but I'll share a little bit, y'all.
Is that what you was talking to me about?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
ooh, ooh.
and
Yeah, I
shout
saw
out
the pictures, Brother Barry. That's just bro, that was brutal.
shout out to Sister Pearl Warren, but I want people to know that this is not just happening in Minneapolis, and it's not just happening in Heritage. This is what happens when you let billionaires and millionaires control housing. This is what happened. Our people actually won a lawsuit in the 90s. The NAACP led a class action lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis, the state, and the county. They won. They won $118 million. Those dollars were used as a down payment to create Heritage Park. What ended up happening is that city and city officials made a deal with an out-of-town development company called McCormick, Barrett, and Stevens. That company, in turn, was able to pony up another, I want to say, $107 million for a tune of $225 million. They did not have to put down a single cent for 70 acres of land. They were supposed to build uh, build affordable housing as well as private homes, and they built a total of 440 units out of the 990 they were supposed to build. They got 225 million, but I will tell you, based off of the conditions of the buildings, those buildings are only really worth about 70 million that they spent. So they were able to pocket the rest of the money. They have not developed the rest of the place, and that's why things are going as